Welcome to Red Stain Radio, a Dead by Daylight podcast. I am one of your hosts, Madison, and for some reason someone put two D's in my name. It's one D! And I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Stevie and Bryson. How are you guys?
Hi, I'm sorry. I have
Hello.
fat fingers, and sometimes I make typos. I
Double
apologize.
type. That's okay.
It's all good. As long as it wasn't on purpose. If it was on purpose,
Not at all.
it's on site.
Never.
But
Never.
if it's just on accident, it's totally fine. Totally fine. I mean, it's not as bad as when a professor thought I had a Y in there somewhere. I don't remember
Oh,
where. I thought
interesting.
there was a Y, so...
Hey,
Thank
sometimes.
Thank you, Prof. This is episode 37 of Red Stain Radio. We're 1 week out from the All Kills comeback chapter, so we thought it would be a time. We thought it would be very appropriate time-wise to cover the Trickster and Lee Yun-Jin's lore from the original All Kills chapter. So how do we feel about that? Are you excited? Because I'm
Super excited.
No, I'm amped for
Yeah.
it. Like when they came out, this was a tasty chapter lore-wise.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. It was a gem hidden in the rough for me.
And it's getting a little sequel, too.
And it's getting a little sequel. And honestly, I want to talk more about that a little later, but it's going to be very tidbitty, but we're going to get to that later. Alrighty, before we get into the meat of this episode of looking at the lore of Lee Yun-Jin and the Trickster, we do have an announcement to make. Ooh. Specifically, starting next week, we'll be moving the typical release day for the new podcast episodes to Thursday rather than Wednesday. So you'll still be getting the same amount of episodes, but instead of releasing on Wednesday, we'll be releasing them on Thursday. This is to give us more time to edit the videos and polish them and make sure they're up to quality for you guys to listen and or watch to. It will be released at the same time, just on Thursdays. Very important. Yes.
No, you won't feel like any different for y'all. Unless
Yes.
you hang on to every episode every morning on Wednesday. It'll now have to be Thursday morning.
Yeah. We apologize for that, but we hope it is all good.
Yes, thank you.
Moving on to a smaller announcement, but equally as amazing, is that we're happy to announce that our second community event will be a looping boot camp. We'll be hopping onto custom matches on the day we do these little community events to show folks how to properly loop certain tiles, mind games, and play against certain killers that you may struggle with. There will be 2 nights for this. One will be on March 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the second night will be on Saturday, March 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join us, be sure to join the Discord server, as we would love you guys to be there. And you can also RSVP to this event, so you can make sure to be there before it happens and not like show up 8 hours late and you're like, where did everyone go? Oh my god, I was late.
Also, this is a good event for killers, too. So if you're a killer main, don't worry. Come. You can play. It's a good learning experience for both sides, so don't feel like you're left out.
Exactly. And not to flex or anything, but I know how to loop an artist. And if you want to figure out how to loop one of the most rare killers in the game, I'm your girl for that. I've been complimented by an artist made at least once for my skills.
I was a witness. Yes, I can attest to that.
Okay. Ignoring the glazing, I believe that is all our announcements. Now let's move on to the DVD news. So first off, we're going to start on a downer. I feel like this is very important to mention, especially the topic of this episode being on the All Kill chapter, because it is a very heavily influenced and basically Korean chapter. We have to talk about the Korean map, which is that several Korean players have issues with the map due to it not properly reflecting Korean culture. There's a lot of errors specifically in it, like typography and language being very textbook / Wikipedia-esque, where it's not really taking into consideration like actual Korean people's experience and lingo and stuff. It's more like if you put it through Google Translate, which is and there's also other things, like I know some people mentioned there were paper lanterns that weren't really used in certain places in Korea. And also there are posters of like Japanese characters, which makes me question, why is that there? They have nothing in common besides they're in the giant region of Asia, which is over like a lot of countries. So it's like, what are we doing here? And it's just, I'm not Korean, so I can't speak on it. But as an outsider looking in, behavior, what are we doing here? Like, I don't want to poke fingers at people, but if you are a multi-million dollar company with one of the most popular video games currently in the market, specifically in one genre that basically has no competition, and you make
Yeah.
deals with like Capcom, Blumhouse, I think you could hire like a consultant to be like, hey, is this racist? Is this problematic? Is this stereotypical? But I guess not. And I don't know. I just think it's really dumb, especially since they kind of like champion themselves for being a very inclusive community for POC and the LGBTQ and disabilities, and then they do that. It's like, what are we doing? That's enough of me, though. Stevie, Bryson, thoughts on this?
I'll say it's a weird this is just a weird situation because like you just mentioned, Maddie, behavior has been very delicate on past topics in dealing with LGBTQ and people of color and just other cultures in general. Like we just had a I'm blanking on the culture that we just had with the Krisu.
Highland.
Remind me, yeah, we just have a Thailand chapter that was really well executed. Like those voice lines are really good. They're in the languages. They're in Thailand language. Like it is really bizarre that they kind of have this blind spot here. I've seen some controversy, some conspiracy theories on why that might be. Like maybe this map was originally going to be Japanese themed or something, and then they ended up switching it to something else kind of midway through. But regardless, it doesn't excuse the fact that they should have hired a consultant and really ironed out the details here because it really sucks to see that they handled it with such little care.
Yeah. Stevie, any
All right,
thoughts on
like
this?
the map is genuinely supposed to be like Seal at night. So if you're gonna do that, I feel like they missed a big opportunity in making it
Mhm.
feel real. And like if somebody speaks Korean and like they're reading the Hangul on like the walls and it just feels stilted and like textbook language and taken from Google Translate, it just
Yeah.
feels out of place.
Yeah. It
And
feels like
like
disingenuous.
things like that have been present since like the game came out, but I feel like they should be better than that by now. Like this isn't Auto Haven Wreckers where like the beer just says beer like on a
Mhm.
can because it's
Yeah.
like their first map they've ever made. This is like a lot of
Mhm.
good stuff in the map, but like the details kind of just are copy pasted from like Google Translate, basic fonts, nothing like
Yeah.
fun. It's all
Mhm.
just like white and black blocky letters.
Yeah. My I just wanted to add on to that. One thing I also dislike is that behavior hasn't really said anything up
They
of this
haven't, no.
recording. They might have posted a response like as this episode goes out because we love our timing, guys, don't we? We love saying things and then exactly after we say it, something
It'll
happens.
get even better when we release on Thursdays.
So yeah, I really hope they say something, even if it's a we fuck up. It's better than just saying nothing because silence is a way to communicate something. As a PR girl, like currently taking PR at my school, not this school, but a different school, it's really important to say something, and silence is a way of saying something. So I just really hope they at least clarify why this happens, even if it paints them in a bad light. I just want honesty because from an outsider's point of view, who is not Korean, I'm white. I just think it's really gross and weird. Like you can do better behavior. You can do better. I was
Yeah,
gonna say
they should
behavior. You could be
they should
behavior.
definitely address the issue. Like just tell us, own up to your mistakes, and fix it. Whether
Exactly.
that and maybe they will surprise us and it's fixed next week when it releases. Although I doubt it. There were a lot of details that were problematic. So, but I would hope they fix it because
Hmm.
this sucks otherwise.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be moving on from that downer of a topic into something hopefully a little bit lighter, a little bit more positive, and that is the Blood Moon event will be running from March 26th to April 16th. For those who don't know, the Blood Moon event is a yearly tradition where around the months of April to May, March to April, there is a very cool like bloody red aesthetic event where players can earn cosmetics and gain a lot of blood points. We're talking like 3 times multiplier every match once it gets like into the blood event. So if
Mhm.
you are seeing those like P100 badges and you're like, damn, I want V sticking her tongue out like a baddie. Well, now's your chance to get that. Like, I'm probably gonna try and get that after I get Springtrap because number one FNAF fan here, gotta get that first, and he's only like 35, so I'm definitely gonna be grinding for that. And then V, you're next. Sorry, Victoria, you're gonna have to wait. V, I'm coming for
Oh
you
damn,
too.
poor Vittorio.
Yeah, any thoughts on the Blood Moon event before we move on?
I mean, I'm happy to get the cosmetics again. Those ones are fun. Tattered
Yeah.
red clothing on every original
Yes.
survivor. They
I
should bring
do
some of the cool killer masks back.
I do want to add one thing very quickly. I will be so disappointed if the Pursue does not get a cosmetic in this event at all, whether it's paid or free. Like, she's the bloodiest killer, and she's gotten jack shit since her release. She's got her, like, base shop one, she got a winter one, nothing since then. Let the opera baddie get something, please. I beg you, behavior. She's the glorious killer, and it's the Blood Moon event. Give her something. It would be so fucking cool, please. I'm begging you, my hands.
Yeah, like,
Please.
did they not have anything working under the hood when they released her? Like I thought we would have had like at least one skin dropped for her by now. Or
I mean, we got
Yeah.
the winter one, but
we
that's
did.
it.
We did.
So even if it's time limited, which would suck, she deserves another skin. So please, please, baby.
Yeah, the Blood Moon ones are time limited, so you will only be able to get those during the event.
Yes.
Maybe it will be a free skin because they usually give one free skin for Survivor and Killer.
Yeah.
Last year it was Elodie and someone else, I think, or maybe that was the first year they did it. Because this is only the third year of this
Yeah.
event.
This is a relatively new event.
Yeah, and it is what they said is the BP event. So if you want blood points, this is the time to grind out for them more so than anything else, even anniversary.
Strike me down. This is their best event. I'm sorry. Halloween? No. Christmas? No. This is the best event, in my opinion.
Anniversary is my favorite.
Okay,
Yeah,
anniversary
same.
is obviously going to be everyone's favorite. Ignoring that, this is my
obviously. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely anniversary.
Although
But-
hopefully this year they kind of fix the blood generator problem for killers because those go pretty quickly, and some killers it was problematic, such as Pig, where if one blood gen activated, it did not activate traps. So
I
that
just
is
couldn't play Pig last year when they ran those.
That's really bad for Pig. Pig's already kind of
Crackpot theory.
not strong.
Crackpot theory. We're gonna get a new introduction because for the last Blood Moon event, like the one before that, we got like the little blood globes where if you put blood into it, you got like a big lunge, or survivors got like reduced scratch mark intensity or something like that. This one, last year, we got the blood generator. This one, I feel like we're gonna get something else blood related. If I had to make a guess, you could get like kind of like the anniversary thing, and you can like curse a pallet or a window or something. And if you like activate it while you're in chase and within range, you could like injure a survivor. And for survivors, maybe it gives like a haste boost or something. That's my prediction.
Everybody
That's
gets
cool.
Freddy's blood pallets this Blood Moon.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's my prediction. Like
Yeah.
they gave everyone kind of like Freddy blood generators, so this is my guess. We're gonna have to wait and
They'll
see.
be
though.
back. I think the gas cans will come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. All right, moving on from that, the Grimoire got updated, and we got really close to what this chapter is going to look like because we're almost done. We only have like one or two more votes. So let's talk about what won in the last vote, which is the final killer design, final survivor design, weapon, killer and survivor name, and the chapter name. So this was pretty jam-packed. So
Yeah.
first things first, between the two looks for the killer, which is the more humanoid one and like the doll meat one, the winner was the humanoid angelic one with the etherealness. I'm a little disappointed because, okay, I have to be honest. I like monsters. I think they're cooler than just regular dudes. She's a little too human-y for an angelic killer, in my opinion. So I'm a little disappointed. She still looks amazing. Love her. But did she really need to have the whole glam looks maxing face, is my question.
Yeah.
I think it's a weird mix, but it works because if they're supposed to be the most divine killer in the fog, they can be the prettiest in that sense, where
That's
it's like
fair,
they're the
that's fair.
cleanest, most untouched because their form isn't really like corporeal.
Yeah. And I will add, I am a big fan of how the wings look and like the kind of like wispiness. I really like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like that. And we're gonna have to wait and see because maybe she gets a cosmetic that makes me go like, oh my god, she's cool, instead of just like, okay, she's got a face. Okay. Let's talk about another thing that the killer got, her name and weapon. So the options for the killer weapon were a flail, a scepter, and a giant fucking hammer. We got the scepter, which is the one I wanted the most, so I'm very happy about that because it really adds to that like divine etherealness. And
The correct
I don't
choice.
know, the flail I feel like would have been too silly. The hammer is a strong contender, so I'm glad we got the scepter.
Agreed.
it's gonna be
I voted
kinda
for the
fun.
scepter.
And the scepter to me feels like, okay, you're channeling your magic beam, and like the scepter is your focus as well. Like you're doing magic, you're not hitting them like every time with your scepter.
Yeah.
But like, sure, if they get close enough, you smack them. But it's not like you're a hammer wielding berserker. No, you're like an
Yeah.
angelic being. You're kind of regal, kind of laid
Yes.
back.
Casting spell.
We also sort of have the other versions already on other killers. Like
Mhm.
we kind of have a flail almost, and like
With plague.
yeah, plague. I know that's not a flail, but
But it's a
still,
wiggly
Yeah.
weapon on a chain.
yeah,
But it's
right.
close
And
enough.
what is that she carries?
It's
What is
called
that
a
called?
sensor.
Yeah,
A sensor.
incense burner, sensor.
Gotcha.
I said
Yeah, and then,
incense
like
burner,
you
but I'm pretty
burn
sure it's
things
a
in it.
sensor.
Yeah, and then we have hammers in the form of like just normal hammers, but still,
Yeah, like
it's
Hillbilly has a mallet, but like it
yeah,
looks like a fucking hammer with him.
yeah. Same with Leatherface. It's so funny how similar those two characters are, but I
Yes,
digress.
and the last thing about the killer, we have the name for it. I don't remember all the names, but it was like the Messenger, the Apocalypse, something else, and the Judgment. And the winner was the Judgment, which I'm a little disappointed because I thought the Messenger sounded badass. But Judgment is also one I really like a lot because that was like my number 2 pick, only because I'm a big tarot card girly, and there's a major arcana called Judgment. So I was like, this is peak fiction. So even though it's not the Messenger, I love the Judgment, even if I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, it fits thematically, with the focus being on sins and kind of judging people that way. So I think
Exactly.
it fits well.
Yes. Stevie, any thoughts on the name?
I mean, I voted for it, so I'm happy. I'm just,
Yeah,
I'm just
same.
gonna
I
sit
did
with it.
too.
I'm not gonna complain.
That's so fair. That's so fair.
I love her. I love her so much.
Well, we don't have to say her anymore. We can call her by her name, the Judgment.
I
We
love
the
Judgy.
Judgments. The
I love Judge
Judgy.
Judy.
Judge Judy.
Oh my
yes.
God.
All right, everyone, we have to be careful. It's Judge Judy. We have to run.
Fucking
Judge-
fifth Judy this week.
Judge
Oh my
Judy
God.
Cosmetics win, please. Give me
God.
that collab.
Yes.
The
Moving on
People's
from the
Court.
killer, we have our survivor finalized. We got a little accessory for her outfit, and her name. Starting with the little accessory, we basically had 2 choices: scarves, glasses, or an earring, and we got the earring as her cosmetic, so that's gonna be kind of fun. I'm expecting like a big dangly, like different materials in there. Because like if the earring was an option, I feel like there has to be a lot of customization with that. So I'm actually looking forward to that a lot because the concept of different, like dramatic, beautiful earrings is it's a lot. I love it. Yes. Any thoughts on the earring before we move on?
I like it. I didn't think it was gonna win because it was the most subtle option. Like I thought everyone was gonna vote for one of the other 3 at least, in majority. But I like that it did win because it's the subtle option, because it's like the most of the survivors' face is showing. It's a little personality touch, but it's not like a theme changer. Like she can be just as fancy or just as academic with any kind of earring.
Yeah, exactly. Any thoughts, Bryson, before we move on from the earring?
I think that one was the correct choice. I think I voted for the glasses, which in retrospect I regret. Because I think the other 2 was like, one was like a scarf around the head, and there was like a shawl or something. Yeah, like they were just they're kind of gaudy, and I don't think they quite fit what the character is. And I picked glasses just because I thought she looked like a nerd. But I like the earring more for the same reason Stevie said, subtle. And you don't have to deal with all the kind of headpiece stuff on the base survivor like you would the others.
Yeah. So moving on from her accessory, we also got her final outfit. It was the difference between a purple and black kind of like, I guess, magey appearance, and a white and red more like, I don't want to say religious look, but like
Catholic, it was
nun,
like
kind
Templar versus Magus.
Yeah, and the winner was the purple and black outfit, so it's gonna be a bit more a bit more mysterious, which I like the contrast between the killer and survivor, because it's just a little more, like a tiny little bit more to say these are different people. Because like with the white and red, it gives kind of like she's a fanatic following her a little bit. This one, in my opinion, just makes her more like an outcast, which is kind of what she is. So, good job, guys. We picked the one I wanted.
Aesthetically, it's all there. I think this is gonna be a killer chapter.
Exactly. I will also say it's kind of funny how behavior teas like when they gave the teas for the options, like one of the options before we did the vote, those are the ones who won. I just thought that was really funny. Like,
Mhm.
okay, they were like, these are the best ones, and people are gonna vote for it. Let's just tease it a little bit. All right, so moving on from that, we also got the name for the survivor, and these were options between, I believe, Michelle, Grace. I want to say Eve was the third one, and
No,
Aurora. Not sure
Imogen.
about the
you
third
missed
one.
Imogen.
It was Imogen, yes, thank you. So it was Michelle, Grace, Imogen, and Aurora, and the winner was Aurora. So her name will be Aurora.
Yeah.
Solid name. Yeah, no thoughts. It's not like I hate that name. It's a good name. It's good.
Mhm.
I
That's
am a fan. There
solid.
was no wrong options here, honestly. Like the only
Michelle.
complaint I
Michelle would
could
have been the
see,
wrong
I was gonna
option.
say
Sorry,
Michelle's the
sorry to
wrong
all the
option.
Michelle
yeah, I was gonna
listeners,
say
but
the only reason why I don't want Michelle is because it kind of sounds similar to Michonne. So it's like, oh hi Michelle, and then for somebody to be like Michonne, it's like no, that's my only complaint because they sound similar. But
I
like
thought it
it's
was just a
very good.
wacky. I thought it was a wacky choice. I'm sure there's some symbolism behind that name.
Yeah,
I don't know it. But yeah, I saw that. I was like I had like gritted my teeth a little bit. I was like, ooh, no, it's like sorry, not to hate all the Michelles, but it just didn't fit this character in my opinion. So
yeah. So yeah, her name is Aurora. So we have the Judgment and we have Aurora. And moving on to the final thing that got voted on, we have the chapter name. I did not remember them all, but I remember I chose Ashes of Absolution. I believe that was one of the options. That did not win. The winner was Chorus of Sins, which is still an amazing name. All these
the,
options were really good.
the
So I'm
correct
glad this
choice.
one won.
this one's good. This one's good.
Hmm.
Yes. So there we go. We have a little bit more. We're not entirely done, but we basically have our chapter Chorus of Sins, which will feature the Judgment and Aurora coming fall of this year. They did confirm it was coming fall of this year. So
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised it's coming out this year.
I mean, like we
I know it would
basically
be.
start voting as soon as they start like thinking about it. So I'm not surprised
Hmm.
that much since it takes about a year, a little less.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have our chapter, our grimoire. Now, moving on from the grimoire, as much as I love it, we have to talk about something else I equally love: the all kill chapter.
This is what you're here for.
Exactly, we're finally getting into the meat of the episode. 22 minutes in. Wow.
Isn't that
but
every episode?
but before we get into that, I do want to talk about sort of the history of the chapter leading up to the release. Specifically, the teasers. There were some teasers posted about a week or two before the actual PTB of this chapter, where on Twitter and I believe Instagram, they posted this small clip of audio tracks playing of someone screaming and then it being reversed. And that's all we got. And they said it was something like the release date for the PTB. So it was very mysterious. And I remember at this time, people were heavily theorizing this killer was going to have time based powers because of the rewind. They thought they were going to rewind time. And I was sitting there like, that'd be
Oh.
cool.
Yeah, that would be cool, but it's always funny how the DVD community thinks one thing and the killer's just something completely different.
Skull Merchant. Who said that?
Yeah,
What?
and the
What?
unknown, like they've all we the Legion, like we've fallen into this pit many times.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode though.
Dare I say also the Hellraiser when everyone thought it was going to be Five Nights at Freddy's for some reason. Oh my god. Yeah, we need to
Wild.
do an episode on that. We need to do an episode of when the community was horribly wrong from teasers.
Yeah, yeah.
But moving on from that, shortly after we did get the PTB, and then eventually later we got the official release of Chapter 19, aka All Kill, which were released on March 30th, 2021. However, you sadly cannot get this chapter anymore because this chapter retired on January 8th of 2024, and those characters were incorporated into the Machine Tales Chapter Pack DLC. Because if you don't know, I believe everything before Alien, certain characters got put into basically mega DLC packs for like $20-$40. So the chapters do still exist in theory, but you can't buy just those two characters in a bundle anymore. You have to buy them individually in game, in one of the special bundles in the in-game shop, or through the Machine Tales pack DLC. I just thought that was worth noting because I didn't know that till like this day.
Yeah, they've bundled all their original chapters um, like that. So I think there's like 4 or 5 now. There'll probably be a 6th
Yeah,
one soon enough. But yeah, they
yeah.
do that
Probably
every
after
few
the
years.
anniversary of that, I guess, is my
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Though I will say probably a little unlikely just because we only got one original chapter this well, one and a half original chapters this year, which that's another episode I want to talk about. We're gonna add that to the list of episodes of why is there so much licenses. I hate the licenses sometimes. Oh my god, make stuff, please.
It brings in the moolah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Moving on from that, once that chapter kind of got incorporated into that, that was basically its lifespan. So I want to talk about a fun fact. Did you guys know that the developers directly confirmed that the Trickster was partially based on the Joker from DC slash Batman? Did you guys know that?
It makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Did not know that, but I see it.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting because I was reading about it and I was like, oh, wait, I remember this now. I remember this. And I just thought it was interesting. And it kind of explains why he's laughing all the time. And he's so, what's the word? Oh, God. Flamboyant. Yes, that's the
Mm,
one.
yeah.
He's based on the Joker, baby. And here's here's a question before you. Here's another question before I tell you another fun fact. Do you guys know that all kill is actually a real life term? Do you guys know what that means? Perhaps.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't know it.
Well, all kill actually refers to a K-pop term where a song or album simultaneously securing the number one spot across all major South Korean music charts, aka it tops all the charts. So that's why it's called all
Okay.
kill.
That's
Interesting,
really
Kills
isn't
cool.
all the
it?
charts.
That's
Yeah,
really
I didn't
cool.
know that till today. So I was like, "What? That's crazy." I
Yeah,
thought they
did
just
not
made
know
up the
that.
name. No, that's a real term. So, yeah,
I would. Yeah, that makes sense now that you've told me that because I was always kind of curious, like why is it called All Kill? I was like, I don't really
yeah,
know, but that makes a lot of sense now. And All Kill Comeback being the name of the upcoming chapter, that
yeah.
being related to a K-pop artist coming back, like making a comeback.
Yeah, like making a comeback. Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
specifically
okay,
K-pop. That's more of just like a wide music thing, but that is a
okay,
thing used
okay,
in K-pop too, where it's like they're making a
gotcha.
comeback. Yeah,
Yeah, very
but
cool
yeah,
that they're adapting the culture into the titles. I love that.
yeah. Which makes it more embarrassing that they messed up so much on the map.
Yeah, it
Why I
does.
want that.
It compounds that problem.
Well, moving on from fun facts, let's talk about the chapter as a whole. I think this is one of their most unique, if not their most unique aesthetic wise. I just really love the idea of this pop star is actually a mass murderer and the survivor is actually working directly with him and she's a bit more morally complex than other survivors where it's like Meg, Dwight, Claudette, Jake, they're very like morally good characters. Lee Yun-Jin is a bit more morally gray, I'd say. And I think that makes her so much more interesting, especially in the tome crescendo and in her base lore entry. She's just one of the best written characters, in my opinion. I will die on that hill, and I will also die on the hill. She's not evil. To the people who say she's evil, you gotta read between the lines. I'm sorry, that's rude. But we're gonna be delving into that episode with the
No,
lore
but
entries.
she's manipulated, and you will see this a lot
I
through
wouldn't
like
say
the
she's
lore.
directly being manipulated. She's more so forced to be working in accomplice due to the circumstances and also her past. But we're going to be getting into that with her lore entry and stuff, especially with the Trickster. Because another thing I really like about this chapter, where other killer and survivors, they're kind of like sort of related or they see each other for like a moment. These two have worked together for years. These two know each other so well. And they kind of are forced to fight each other. Well, not forced. Trickster's definitely loving it. Lee Yun-Jin is running away in fear. But it's one of those chapters where I really like that they're directly related and they have to face each other basically for eternity. I think that's so interesting, especially with how Lee Yun-Jin reacts to the Trickster and his life. Because it's like, whoa. But before we move into that, two things. One, the reason why I love this, again, to just reiterate to the listeners and viewers, I find this to be one of the more complex for a survivor standpoint and a killer standpoint, in my opinion, is just a really good iteration of a pure evil character, in my opinion. Like, there is nothing redeemable about the Trickster, and I love that. He's just pure evil, and every single thing he does just shoves it in your face again and again in a very like, oh my god, this is good writing way. He sucks. The only complaint I have about him, we'll talk about later, but it's just kind of more of like a plot hole, in my opinion. But
Oh
Okay.
no,
even then,
plot
it's like
hole.
very minor, very minor.
Plot
Because it
holes
can
in
be
DVD lore? No,
what
never.
crazy. So moving on from that, do you guys have any thoughts on All Kill before we delve into the lore? Like how much you know about feelings about these characters and stuff like that.
As far as like on its release, if we send ourselves back in time, when it came out, everyone was worried that this chapter would break the aesthetic of DBD and it would be irreparable. And there's
Mm-hmm.
no way you could put bright colors in this scary game. And why is he laughing all the time? This is supposed to be a scary game, and he's not even that scary. I don't care that you're scared by him. You're just a baby if you're scared by him. I don't care that it's real character. And these criticisms are like so baby reactionary, and the fact
Mm-hmm.
that Trickster and Yun-Jin have made such an impact and like stuck around, it's like they were crucial.
Yeah.
DBD has always been about wearing flamboyant stuff and running from the killer.
I definitely agree with that, especially since what I like about DBD is that they take things very common and put such a unique twist on it. Like with the twins, it's the idea of like the conjoined twins, but it puts it through body horror, but also a lot of trauma where you feel so much sympathy for Victor and Charlotte. And in the case of the All Kill chapter with Trickster and Lee Yun-Jin, it puts a really interesting kind of like spin on the everyday man slash guy everyone wants to get to know who has a secret identity as a serial killer, like very like I was gonna say Norman Bates, the guy from American Psycho,
Yeah,
and I just think
Mm.
that's
yeah.
really interesting, especially since they put the everyday guy on a pop star stage, especially in K-pop. And what I also found really interesting is when this chapter was released, this was kind of like when K-pop was getting really big in the West as well. So I just thought that was really good timing, whether that be purposeful or coincidence. I just thought that was really cool and interesting. And I don't know. I just love when things I never thought through a horror lens get incorporated to a horror lens. I just think it's really cool. Bryson, any thoughts on All Kill before we delve into that lore?
Yeah, I want to echo some of the things Stevie said. Is that this was the first chapter people thought, oh, this doesn't fit. This was like the first
Mhm.
time that discourse had ever had happened in this community. Is like this killer just completely doesn't fit the aesthetics. You know, that's happened a few other times, but this one was a big whoa. Let's step back and kind of analyze where we're going. And there was a lot of pushback. A lot of people thought, oh, it's just a twink who's hot, who dresses flamboyantly and like, but I think harping back to the Trickster being heavily influenced by, or being inspired by the Joker. I think, you know, if you look at the Joker, just kind of face value, not that scary of a villain, but when
Yeah.
you really dive into all types of comics and the background and the many different iterations we've had of the Joker, and we've had endless amounts of iterations of the Joker over the years. It gets kind of scary. I mean, there are times where it doesn't, and I think the Trickster is not scary in some aspects, but there are times when you dive into the lore, which we'll get into tonight, that I know a little bit about. It's scary, like what he does to his victims to make his music. That to me, that is haunting, and the fact that that is in a lot of ways those victims are memorialized
Mm.
in their killers music is just haunting, like just
Yeah.
to live your legacy is through that. Like to me there's kind of an existential horror there that I think is not
Yeah.
presented on the Trickster face value, but you really got to kind of do some digging. But super to have him, and yeah, it's a cool chapter overall.
Yeah, and I especially want to add on to that point about the victim screams is the fact that not only are they kind of like memorialized in this like horrific way where they're basically screaming for the rest of their lives basically,
Yeah.
but also the fact that he is a big pop idol, big K-pop idol, and he's playing this to millions of people, and everyone's listening to it, and they have no idea is even more haunting. Like you're literally
Mhm.
cheering for people dying. Is kind of like a what
It's
the
the
fuck
real
concept, but
horror.
like in the best way. Like oh my god, This guy is evil. Alrighty, before we delve in, I know I've been saying but and before a lot. Before we get back into reading the lore, two things. One, I'm gonna mess up pronunciations. I'm gonna try my best, so I apologize about that. And two, one thing I really like about the lore for Lee Yun-Jin and the Trickster is that they have a very heavy emphasis on class, and you really feel that, especially in Lee Yun-Jin's story. So keep that in mind while we read the base stories. We'll be getting into the tome and talking about the tome in a little bit, but we're going to start with the OG. So, Bryson, Stevie, do we start with Lee Yun-Jin or do we start with the Trickster?
Ooh.
I'd say we start with Trickster. He is the headliner here, after all.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did
There
there.
he
The
is.
Pun
headline.
intended.
Alrighty. So let's start with the Trickster lore, aka Hak Ji Woon. I'm going to turn off my camera because I'm getting close to the mic and I want this to be dramatic. Alrighty. Hak Ji-woon thrived under the attention of others, energized by every eye that watched him and every tongue that spoke his name. Amidst the prestige, he had only one desire: more. Even as a child, he found ways to draw crowds. Working at his family's restaurant, he attracted business with spectacles he performed using throwing knives. Gullible tourists believed that this was a traditional South Korean experience, gladly parting with their money to witness it. Ji-woon's father spent the restaurant's earnings on dancing and vocal lessons for his son, pushing him to attain the fame he never could. Ji-woon did not disappoint. After years showcasing his abilities to nobodies at talent shows, he hit the track to stardom. Yun-Jin Lee, which should be Lee Yun-Jin, so we're going to be saying that from now on, a producer at Mighty One Entertainment, recruited Ji-woon into her training program. He transferred to a dormitory in Seoul where, for 14 hours a day, he was crafted into a star, taught how to move and sing, how to carry himself with the right balance of confidence and modesty. Draining as the process was, it worked. Yunjin selected Ji-woon to join the band and No Spin, bringing a raw energy to their tracks. Fame was almost immediate. Ji-woon lived in the days of interviews and adoration, and though the frenzied schedule exhausted his bandmates, he was invigorated. Each day was an affirmation that he was greater than the mediocrity society spewed out. But over time, the champagne grew stale. When he looked at his fans, he saw their joy and envy split 5 ways, thinned out between each band member. The validation that had surged through him left a desperate yearning for more. Ji-woon kept up impressions, mimicking a charm long buried under loathing. He recorded the latest No Spin album with his bandmates, never missing a beat. After a lengthy lunch break, he returned to the studio to discover fate had granted him a gift. The scent of burning wires was unmistakable. He rushed to the control room, finding the door blocked by fallen speakers. On the other side, his bandmates pounded on the door, their cries accompanied by the crackling of flames. Ji-woon called to them, dashing to the speakers, grabbing one and stopping. He froze. Each breath was a conscious, deliberate process requiring all his attention, the nearby cries hardly audible until, slowly, he backed away. And then he heard it. They were screaming his name as they burnt, screaming for him to save them. Ji-woon! Ji-woon! Hak Ji-woon! It was the most beautiful thing he had ever heard. When the fire crew arrived, his tears were genuine. Ji-woon was celebrated as a tragic figure, a hero who did all he could in the futile attempt to save his friends. Yun-jin paraded him through interviews until it was time to rebrand. He was reborn as the Trickster, a solo artist who produced his own songs, sporting a soft heart beneath a wild exterior. But away from the concert setups and television stages, something darker grew. He targeted those who lived alone, coming to them in the night. The first was a college music student with a captivating voice. Ji-woon woke him with a baseball bat to the skull, binding his arms and legs, gagging him with a rag duct taped into his mouth. He tortured him for hours, dissecting him alive. Yet there was something missing. A sound, a connection. He wanted to hear the victim's wondrous voice pleading as he cut his belly open, but all he received was muffled cries through a rag. He learnt and adjusted. Victims had to be abducted, driven to an abandoned building where he could let their voices carry unrestrained emotion. He made music from them, prodding in the right places to evoke different types of shrieks and howls. Stabbing the quadratus lumborum elicited a long guttural wail, while slashing the carotid artery created a sound like a cat being strangled. There was honesty in their suffering. Ji-Roon recorded each session, synthesizing and working them into his songs, hiding them behind layers of melodies. He was elated with his work. He left hints for police, arranging a mink boa from a recent photo shoot around a victim's slashed throat. For his next killing, he removed the teeth from a man that a boxer in one of his music videos was without. During a particularly audacious plea for attention, he killed a fan he had met during a VIP meetup, replacing her eyes with diamond cufflinks and writing "I have seen God" in blood across her chest. Each scene was a dazzling spectacle. Between music and murder, Ji-Woon's work was discussed globally. However, as violence became his preferred art style, his music career took a hit. Revenue was down, and Mighty One executives pointed their fingers at him. Yun-Jin, with professional fury, came to his defense, but she was outnumbered. It was decided that Ji-Woon could no longer self-produce his songs. The decision was devastating. His tracks fused genuine humanity into music, yet executives rejected anything that wasn't generic and expected. And so be it. If they couldn't understand his art, he would incorporate them into it until they did. He had 3 months until he was to perform a private show for Mighty One's board members, 3 members to plan his magnum opus. He transferred obscene amounts of money to a veterinarian in exchange for canisters of nitrous oxide, then bribed the stage technician of Mighty One's private theater for access to the room. His celebrity granted him a benefit of the doubt no regular person could conceive. When the show was ready, gas seeped into the room as executives and stagehands awaited Ji-Woon, conveniently running behind schedule. When he arrived, half-conscious bodies were splayed in their seats and crawling across the floor. He worked quickly, binding everyone and pausing only when he came to Yun-Jin, the woman who had plucked him from a mud hole and set him on the path he deserved. She would be rewarded, granted special access to the coming display of wonder. Even under sedation, she fought, a raging storm within her, far stronger than the others. He propped her up as the lone audience member, prying her eyes open. The others, sniveling and sobbing, were brought on stage to perform their final act. With a contemptible sneer, he slapped makeup onto their faces and shone stage lights upon them. They became his instruments. To the sound of self-produced melodies, he tortured them, gracefully dashing from one body to another, conducting an operatic crescendo from their wailings. They shouted, whimpered, screamed, cried for their loved ones, cried for their mothers. It was a magnificent outpouring of emotion, of what it meant to be human, and they did it with eyes fixed on Ji-Woon. Viscera drained from the stage until, with the toss of his throwing knife, the final human instrument fell silent and the music stopped. Covered in sweat and blood, an exhausted Ji-Woon looked to Yun-Jin and bowed. Curtain call. He had attained perfection. With blade in hand, he made his way to Yun-Jin, prepared to tie up loose ends before the credits rolled. But as he reached her, the fog, from where he didn't know, but it billowed around them, damp, cool, comfortable. He saw the grand stage, hospitals and temples, forests and slaughterhouses, an eternal plain adorned with rusted hooks, sustained by the million eyes that would watch him, run from him, experience him. All he had to do was accept, become an implement of the fog, and, most importantly, make them scream. Encore. And that is Hawk Ji-Woon's lore from his base entry. Thoughts on
Incredible.
that?
He's just looking good. He's evil.
Oh
He's
my
evil.
god. Just like, and also like based on the description, just very gory, like really is torturing and ripping his victims to shreds. Like, it is not kind of easy to imagine. Like it's tough. Like, it's a tough read and listen. And that it again, if you don't think the horror is there on face value, get into this lore, and it is rooted right there on how dark the Trickster is.
Exactly. Yes. And also, one thing I love about the story, it really incorporates Lee Yun-Jin into the story too. She's an
Yeah.
active player, and from his perspective, she is kind of like his savior. She's the reason why he's here, and he kind of has like special treatment for her. But when we read her story, It's a very, different story. It's very different. And I love that because it kind of shows, even in what's supposed to be a neutral, like, story, it has influences and, like, perceptions of that character in it. For the Trickster, it's that he was a star. He's amazing. People should be cheering for him, screaming for him. Ah. So yeah, I really like it. And my only complaint about it, that I mentioned before, is that it's comical how dumb the police are in this universe that they haven't got him. Like, you think after a certain amount of time, like, hey, these murders are happening every single time the Trickster is going to these places, and hey, he's conveniently not nowhere to be found except for near the murder location where these people are getting murdered. Maybe there's an in-lore explanation to why this is happening, but I still think it's a kind of a plot hole because I feel like at one point somebody would be like, police, there's a dead body and I saw the guy who did it. But, like, I guess he's just that good. But
He's
that's just
just
my
that good.
minor one
He's
complaint
got the
about his lore.
money and he can indulge in this and he knows how to make it happen. And that's the scary part.
And what I also really like that you kind of touched upon, Stevie, is that, again, like I mentioned earlier, is that it talks about class. Like, because the Trickster can get away with this, kind of explained by the story, which I don't love. Like, I think it's a really good explanation. It's just there's a bit of plot holes. Is that he's rich. He can just buy what he wants. He's a celebrity, and no one will look at his way because he can just buy basically whatever he wants. And, like, the whole reason he does, like, his final kill, basically, is because the rich XX were like, you're gonna make us lose money, get the fuck out. It's all about money and class, which is even more reflected in Lee Yun-Jin's. I think makes her...
They didn't even want to, like, kick him out. They just wanted him to not produce his own songs.
Exactly.
Which means he would be a tool for them rather than they would be a way for him to express his bloody art. And if he can't do that anymore, there's, like, no sense living, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He just gets so wrapped up in killing that it's everything.
Exactly, because he lives for those screams. He wants people to scream for him. He wants to feel alive. He wants the attention.
Now, is this now, I think this is the first time the survivor associated with the chapter is in the killer's lore. Is that correct?
I believe so.
In terms of original?
Besides, like, Nia being, like, in the Asylum of Nurse, she never meets her. But this is, like, the first, like, killer survivor combo where they are directly intertwined with each other.
And
that isn't licensed, you know?
That isn't licensed, obviously.
And is it the only one to this day, or...
No.
I don't want to say yes or no. I'm going to say a very soft maybe.
Adam Francis, actually, he might have been more like similar vein to, like, Nia, where I think he was in, like, a Yamaoka house at one point when he was in Japan.
I can correct, actually. He dies basically on a train in Japan, but he doesn't, like, ever go to the Yamaoka city, I believe. Correct me.
Like all the promo art for that chapter makes me think, like, oh, he pissed her off by going to her house.
That's what I was thinking, but no, false advertising. Oh, wait, no, there is another chapter that does it. I'm so dumb. Jeff and Legion. Specifically, Jeff does the mural for the Legion in the Ormond Resort.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
But it's not as intrinsic as Legion and the Trickster. They're literally working together.
Yeah, these two seem very, like, intertwined. Like, you can't have one without the other, which I think is a really unique lore kind of area that DBD hasn't really explored since.
Exactly. I want more survivor killer duos that are directly, like, entwined with each other.
Yeah, that aren't licensed. Yeah,
non-licensed, obviously, because we have plenty of those. Like, we have Resident Evil. We have Resident Evil again. We have Halloween.
I don't know. I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough.
I agree, actually.
Oh, waiter, more Resident Evil chapters.
No. We didn't say that. Alrighty. So, well, I feel like we kind of got our thoughts out. Who is ready for Lee Yun-Jin, our favorite girl boss?
I am.
I don't know anything about her, so this will be brand new to me.
Alrighty. Enjoy the storytelling from Madison of Lee Yun-Jin. Had to get in spirit. Sorry. Resilient and ambitious, Yun-Jin was born into a life of hardship, finding success in the music industry after years of effort and self-sacrifice. As a child, Yun-Jin was fascinated by sound, mimicking drums and hitting keys on the piano. When she turned 10, however, she lost her instruments. Her family was heavily in debt and did not make the payments in time. The creditors took everything they owned, including the house. Yunjin held her 4-year-old sister tightly as she cried. They moved into a windowless 2-bedroom basement. Since her parents worked day and night to pay their debt, Yunjin became her sister's caretaker. Every night she sang until they both fell asleep. At 17, the renowned record label Mighty One Entertainment came to her high school audition talent. She was rejected as an idol trainee, but obtained an unpaid internship at the studio. For the following years, she crafted some of the studio's biggest hits without any credit or recognition. To get her dues, she emerged in the public eye wearing flamboyant fashion and put sound bites into her songs that looped into her artist name, Magnum Opus. Fans began to recognize her songs, and she became the producer of No Spin, a poorly performing boy band who needed her special touch. Dissatisfied with No Spin's commercial sound, she sought a rogue element to make this band stand out. Through her contacts and talent shows, she found the edgy, raw sound of Hak Ji-woon. She relaunched No Spin with Ji-woon as its newest member. Within hours, their first video was a viral sensation. Their success cemented Yunjin's reputation as a shrewd producer. Adored in high fashion to attend luxurious events, Yunjin's harsh, impoverished childhood seemed far behind her. She moved into a penthouse and dined with socialites in skyline restaurants with breathtaking views of Seoul. The success of the first album broke records, setting the bar high for No Spin's second. As they were recording new tracks, the fire alarm suddenly blared. Concerned for her safety, Yunjin hurried to evacuate the building and left the dallying staff behind. Only when she bolted out into the street that she realized No Spin was nowhere amongst the coughing crowd. A Goliath of flames engulfed the building, slowly tamed by the steady streams of fire hoses. All members of No Spin perished in the fire, except one, Jiwoon. The album was ruined. The band was over. She would be shelved while Jiwoon would rot away as an instructor for idol trainees. But she refused to be a victim who watched helplessly as vultures swooped in to take what was hers. Unknown to Mighty One Entertainment, she created new tracks to relaunch Ji-woon's career. She pushed him to tap into his grief and create a song exploring the pangs of sudden loss. The music video showed Ji-woon saying goodbye to each member of No Spin. Yun-Jin clearly launched the song under Ji-woon's newly adopted stage name, the Trickster. He would embody both fear and awe, like the legendary Dakabe spirits. Ji-woon's song was a global phenomenon, its universal themes of grief and guilt resonating internationally. Together, Yunjin and the Trickster toured the world. Success greeted them on every shore. Yet, disturbingly, so did a series of eccentric murders. This connection unsettled Yunjin as she noticed that the tour dates coincided with the victim's time of death. She was weary after the loss of No Spin and anxious to preserve her artist, so she increased the Trickster's security detail. What if the serial killer was an unhinged fan fixated on the Trickster, inspired by the artist's morbid songs? Returning to Seoul, Yunjin worked with Jiwoon on his new material. When she entered the studio at the brink of dawn, she was surprised to see Jiwoon already there. He seemed exhausted, like he had worked all night. When she listened to his track, she discovered a bizarre intro filled with shrieks and snares. It was too experimental for her taste. A week later, another death was reported. The body showed traces of torture and was arranged in some flamboyant style as previous murders, this time with diamond cufflinks gouged into the victim's eyes. The following day, the victim was on every television channel. A video from the victim's social media showed her squealing, surprised when her boyfriend handed her a heart-shaped birthday cake. Yunjin's stomach churned. That voice. So familiar. And yet, she had never met the victim. The next morning, her heart froze when she listened to the Trickster's opening track. The shrieks in his song matched the victim's squeal. Did he sample the victim's birthday video? No, that was impossible. He had recorded the song before the murder was reported. She stared at Jiwoon on the other side of the booth's glass window. He was No Spin's only survivor. Everyone else was dead. Not to mention the eccentric murders that matched their tour dates. Death trails that seemed to converge to him. If he caused this, no artist would survive that scandal. Yunjin's career, no, her life would be over. All she had would be destroyed. A wave of nausea surged over her. Heart racing, she rushed to the restroom. Wild thoughts blazed through her mind as she splashed icy water over her face. There had to be a simpler explanation. Perhaps she was overworked, or maybe she did not trust her success. Her mind was fabricating this suspicion because disaster was easier to trust than success. It was all in her head. She returned to the recording booth, eager to put her worries behind her. Months later, pressure came from Mighty One Entertainment executives. Revenue was down, and they blamed the Trickster since they disproved the violent themes in his music and the knife tricks he pulled during performances. While Yunjin was furious they scapegoated her artist, she agreed that Ji-woon's sound was too niche to generate profit. She told Ji-woon she fought them off but was ultimately outnumbered. Because of her initial fury, he believed her to be on his side. They were given 3 months to create and perform the next hit for Mighty One. Months flew by, and the time came for Yunjin to take a seat at the executive's private show. She was confident about her song, but as soon as the music started, she knew something was amiss. Dense foul smog permeated from the room. Yunjin coughed and gasped for air, but the more she coughed, the more she inhaled. Her body sank in the chair, her limbs heavy and numb, and her eyes widened as she watched, terrified, a nightmare come to life. The trickster was a whirlwind of blood, slashing, stabbing, and chopping limbs. The executives were carved up like meat. They could not run. They were stuck, like Yunjin, paralyzed. A boiling rage swelled in her gut. How could she have denied her instincts? The fire, the murders on tour, it was him, had always been him, and she had known from the start. Now her career was over, and so was Mighty One. Everyone she worked with, her colleagues, her friends, dying before her eyes. Everything she had, taken from her once more. No, she would not let him. He would pay. He would know her suffering. Suddenly, dark coils of black fog rose from the ground, and she was somewhere else. Bright lights flashed and blinded her. A spotlight found her in the darkness. Then a crowd erupted, chanting her name. Magnum opus! Magnum opus! She smiled and walked into the darkness within. And that is Lee Yun-Jin's story. Thoughts on this, ladies? Ah.
Very
Um,
cool.
it's very good. I feel a little conflicted, and I'm trying to like pin down my thoughts on her.
Well, let's hear it. Let's
It's
hear it.
like
This is the thoughts and feelings time.
it's like part of me is like, okay, so she's the record executive, like kind of pet. So she kind of helps find new artists, but she also produces songs, but she doesn't get the credit. So she's like desperate for some success, and all that success has to be like behind a boy band that she's crafted. So this
Mm-hmm.
is like her life's work is making sure the trickster has this like public appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But like the part of me that's a little conflicted is like what does she want from it? Is she entirely like I am looking for a life that's, you know, comfy and sustains me, or does she want to also be famous? Is that's the part I'm kind of conflicted by.
I think it's a bit of both, but I think it's mainly just security and just somewhere to be comfortable. Because, like, in her past, as we saw at the beginning of the story, she lost it all in one fell swoop, and that kind of caused, like, this trauma response in her where she will do anything to stop from losing her life if she deems it a threat, especially if it means having to do, like, morally ambiguous things, like defending the trickster, even if she has that hunch of, oh my god, he's murdering people. And I just think that's really interesting for a survivor because I want more morally complex characters. I love a character that isn't just pure good, pure evil. Like I do love a good, pure good character, but like I love morally complex characters. It's why I like Tori so much. She's just so interesting, and I love
Mm.
killers who are also morally complex. But for Lee Yun-Jin, it's just so interesting because I feel like this was the first survivor who was just straight up not morally good. There she is morally good, but she's not pure morally good. There is ambiguousness in this where she sort of knew in the back of her mind he's murdering people, but she didn't want to give up her life because, like she said, if she gave it up in her point of view and went to the police with this, she would never be able to be hired again because she would be known as the woman who worked with a murderer, and she would go back to basically being like homeless, and she doesn't want that. And so she, even if in her heart she's like, I really want to do the right thing, she does the morally bad thing because she doesn't want to lose her life. And that kind of goes back to the class themes with the trickster and her, where because of society's class structure and wealth and like finance and stuff like that, she's forced to do these horrible things to not be poor, to have a life. And I think that's so interesting, especially for one about the K-pop industry, which is kind of notorious for how they treat their idols. I love it. I love it. Sorry.
It's good. It's a very story of like the industry and the horrors
Yeah.
underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, especially since we don't really get to see like behind the scenes, because we hear a lot of like horror stories of the idols. We don't hear about like the producers, and I think that's really interesting. My only complaint is I wish there was a bit more emphasis on the Trickster being kind of like worked to the bone, because it's more of a he was worked to the bone. Anyways, so I would really love to see that more maybe in like a future tome or like one of the new like mini riff stories they've been doing in the tomes. I think that would be really cool. Maybe that's the reason why he got pushed to, murder.
Yeah, right. Like I
Yeah.
want more of that. I want like more of what aggravated the Trickster and like what got under his skin. Because he's not like, oh, Jawon Hack used to hunt local cats as a kid. It was very much he had an incident that awoken feelings in him,
Hmm.
and to try and figure out what those are, he just likes
Yeah.
making music out of people screaming.
I will counteract that point just because in the story so far, what makes him so interesting is that he is morally evil from a base point. Like, even when he was younger, he was very egotistical. He wanted attention, he wanted
Oh yeah.
more. In
Oh
his story,
yeah.
he literally wanted more. And I feel like what kind of makes sense to me, at least, is that the death of No Spin, like all his members dying, it was a mix of trauma, but also kind of like this dark sense of they're giving me attention. Their last moment, their entire life is on me. That's what I want. And that kind of like awakened that psychopathic tendencies, in my opinion. Bryson, thoughts, sorry.
No, you're good. I'm fascinated by both your points. I definitely connect with a lot. Again, this is the first time I've heard Yun-Jin's story, and I've kind of connected with it a little bit. Like she very much wants a better life than where she came from, and that for me personally, I totally relate to. Like, didn't
Mhm.
have the greatest upbringing, and not
Mhm.
not a lavish life, but growing into an adult, really wanting to build my career and
Mhm.
make a better life for myself, have a higher quality of life, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, I can't connect with being complicit with a murderer, but
Yeah.
I definitely see the perspective of it not being stuck between a hard place, a rock and a hard place. Like
Exactly.
if she
Yeah.
turns him in, like her career is over and everything she has built is gone. But if she doesn't, she can continue, and maybe hopefully it ends in some way, and maybe that's why she does smile when she's taken by the fog. Like, hey, maybe she sees herself as being up, I guess, brought into a, like, I've been chosen, like I've gotten the recognition
Mhm.
I deserve, and that's why she kind of smiles as she's taken,
Yeah.
while also offloading the burden of knowing that the trickster has been doing all those terrible things to these people. So I think that was a really unique and interesting symbolism on her part.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like her story. Like you said, I just love how complex she is, and like how there's these struggles of do I do the right thing or do I do what's best for me? And I just we need more survivors like her. She's one of the best written, in my opinion. I love that dynamic, and yeah, girl boss, love her, and I love that her perks reflect that she's like more self fulfilling slash like reliant on herself. It's very much like bye bitch, I'm gonna go take care of myself. Bye bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the base lore. We didn't get a map sadly because I remember a lot of people were like, "Oh, we really want a map because the menu was so cool." Cut to now, we finally get the map, but at what cost?
Yeah. Oof.
So yeah, I was gonna include the map description, but since it's not out at the time of this recording, I'm leaving that out. Also because it's kind of like in a weird like lore point because it's kind of like both present and not. It's like present in the fog, which is kind of weird. Like it's after the base. It's basically him learning about Mina and getting pissed. It's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, which we're gonna be talking about that. I feel like in a future episode, maybe we'll do that in the launch of the chapter because Mina's a really interesting concept, especially with the new survivor whose name I forgot. I'm so sorry. I always suck with names. But him and the new survivor, the new killer have a really interesting dynamic, especially when you see how the trickster reacts, which is not what I
Mhm.
was expecting. So, more on that maybe next week. Ooh. But what we can't talk about is Tome 9, also known as Crescendo, which is very unique because it was a all-kill focused rift, and it specifically took a look at Lee Yun-Jin again and the Trickster, this time at a point of time during their world tour where they go to Rio de Janeiro, and specifically there's a incident of some kind. I'm going to leave that ambiguous.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
much about this tome at all.
so here's what I'm proposing, and this might get confusing. We can do okay. So we have two options. One, we can read the killer or the survivor first, or the other way around, or we can do it how it was done when it was released, where we start with one killer memory and the first survivor memory, and then move on until we get to the final killer memory and the final survivor memory. Do you have a preference?
I think either one works. This one really lends itself to doing side by side on the
Yeah.
memories.
Okay, so we'll do that then. So what I'm thinking is we'll start with the killer, and then we'll do the actually no, we'll do the survivor, then we'll do the killer, because in the little short at the end, what I really like is that from the killer's point of view, it's very short and ambiguous. The survivor kind of like finalizes it. I messed that up. We're gonna do killer, survivor. So we're starting with
Yeah.
Trickster, then Yunjin, Lee Yunjin, and we're gonna be bouncing back between those two. All right. So let's start with memory four. I was gonna say the wrong one. 435, aka Hak Ji Woon's Dissonance for the Dead. Ji Woon lives within the sounds of Rio de Janeiro. Water splashes into a basin. A skateboard's wheels grind over asphalt. A rufous bellied thrush chirps. And the voice. The angelic, ethereal sound of a young Brazilian man singing floats from an open window. Ji Woon knows the man. Lucas. He's good. Nowhere near my level, but a diamond nonetheless. His voice is the brushstroke Ji-woon has been searching for. To think, Lucas partially fell into his lap, the Brazilian man having swung at a recording studio Ji-woon visited. With Lucas's voice, Ji-woon can create art. Genuine, agonizing art. Silky, blood-curdling terror. Ji-woon has already prepared a warehouse and an abandoned harbor for tomorrow's act. Even the most mundane detail required his attention. In the past week, he's transitioned between concert rehearsals to disguising his celebrity visage, staking out his victim, assuming alternate identities, purchasing supplies, and stealing record equipment, all while paying off his security detail to leave him be. The mundane details are what elevate the splendor of his artwork. Lucas will be dead in a day, and it will be beautiful. Moving on to Lee Yun-Jin, Course of Lies, Memory 443. Fatigued from the long flight, Yun-Jin yawns as she turns on her laptop. She landed in Rio de Janeiro just 2 hours ago, but her work cannot wait. Looking through her mailbox, she spots a dozen unread emails from an unknown user addressing her by her name. Few know her as Yun-Jin. Most only know her as Magnum Opus. She clicks on an email. A graphic, detailed description of someone's plan to murder her and the Trickster. Signed, the Trickster's #1 fan. Death threat. An abnormally specific one with a picture of her in the hotel lobby. Before the death of Nospin, she ignored such threats, but now her manicured hands shake as she reaches for her phone. The threat is too serious to be taken lightly. She calls her security crew for an emergency meeting. Outings are restricted to recording sessions and concert rehearsals only. A bodyguard is assigned to the Trickster and herself. Everyone complies with the new rules except for the Trickster, who argues against staying on hospital premises. Hotel premises. Blah. No surprises there. Her relationship with the Trickster has been on the rocks for months now. He challenges every decision she makes, his ego pushing her patience to its limits. Because of their frequent creative disagreements, their next album is behind schedule, forcing her to produce 3 new songs while overseeing his tour. Her security expert confirms that the phones are ready. At her request, a tracking GPS application was installed on all company phones. No one else knows about this. If the Trickster keeps testing her patience, this app will come in handy. It's for his own good. And hers. Ugh. Memory 436. Hak Ji-woon Distance for the Dead. Ji-woon freezes as he reaches his hotel room. The door opened a crack. He faintly hears someone rummaging inside. So be it. He knew a crazed fan would take things too far someday. How could they resist him? But he's ready. He'll defend himself, test the invader for operatic sounds, like an impromptu aria, as he surprises them with a blade in their gut. He pats the knife concealed above his ankle. Ready. Pushes the door open, steps softly on plush carpet, hears the invader around the corner, sees Yun-Jin, his manager. Fury meets fury. How dare you step foot in here? Where the hell have you been? She's paranoid about death threats they've been getting from a fan. When security couldn't locate Ji-woon, she comes snooping. It's laughable. The threats were nothing but a play. A boogeyman he created to throw Yun off his trail if she ever got too close. But he should have expected this. Yun's on top of everything. It's what he respects in her, what makes them a great team. He brings the $1 million voice and she smashes through any problem in their way. Usually, it works in his favor. In her hand, she holds. No, damn it! His sampler! It contains his personal project, the screams of his murder victims layered into songs. It's an early draft lacking subtlety. The violence and horror are a bit too blatant for the faint of heart. She's disgusted. Couldn't hear beyond the terrorized voices to understand the beauty inherent in human suffering. The hair on Ji-woon's neck stand on end. He sees the moment with clear eyes. They're dancing on a razor's edge, with Yun dangerously close to discovering who he truly is. Lee Yun-Jin, Course of Lies, Memory 444. Yun-Jin pours herself a cup of coffee at the recording studio, stifling a never yawn. Her temples are throbbing. The jet lag is hitting her hard. Plus, the constant threat of a crazed fan prevents her from getting any sleep at night. On her way back to the booth, she notices that the studio next to theirs is occupied. She peeks inside. A young man is laughing in the recording booth. He has an easygoing smile that could sell thousands of magazines. She recognizes the man at the mix table, Alano Muse, a semi-famous producer from San Diego. What is he doing in Rio? Some bits of fresh gossip could help re-energize her. She taps on the door's window. The door creaks open. He remembers her, of course. Who could forget the magnum opus? She invites herself in as he plays the track he is working on. A slow, predictable build for the bass line. Formulaic. Too safe to be of any interest. Then, an ethereal voice fills the room. Yunjin almost spills her coffee. The artist's voice is crystalline. His range is powerful yet nuanced. Who is that? Alano tells Lucas, the young artist, to drop down his pitch a notch. Bad call. The track should be building up to push Lucas's range instead of confining it to a boring generic sound. She walks up to Lucas and hands him her business card. Contact me when you're ready to become a serious artist. A pang of regret hits her on her way out. She said those exact words to Trickster many, many years ago. Back then, she looked forward to working with him. Those days are long gone. Hak Ji-woon, Dissonance for the Dead, Memory 437. Yun-Jin holds the sampler as if it's dripping blood. The only solace in Ji-woon's mind is that she doesn't understand what it really is. He knows her. If she thought the sounds were actually murders, she'd have tried to knee him in the crotch and run. But the anger still rattles through her as she moves up to his face. What is this twisted horror bullshit? What if this is leaked? You're already attracting crazed, violent fans. How would it look if the media heard that the demented sounds you're working on? Mighty One would drop you. Your career would be dead. Ji-woon knows what she really fears. Her career would be dead. For as tall as she stands, as strong as she swings, she's nothing but a scared girl afraid of failure. He knows how to play her. Drops his head, breathes deeply, wipes the back of his hand over his eyes. Yunjin, ever since the death of Nosman, the fire, I'm riddled with horrid thoughts. I lost my friends and I fear I'm losing my mind. I see awful things behind closed eyes. All that guides me through the dark fog is turning my pain into sound, pouring the throes of my death from my heart to his song. Yun's face softens. She sits, commiserates with him. Inside, he's reliving the divine screams of his bandmates as they burned, his swelling heart as they screamed his name, but on his face he shows nothing but contortions of tragedy. She excuses his error in judgment, confiscates the sampler, requests he stay on hotel grounds until the concert is over. It's for his own good, his safety. She tells him to get a drink from the minibar and cool down. He quietly nods and complies, reminding himself to steal back the sampler in a few days. He lets her pretend she has what he's holding: control. Memory 445. Lee Yun-Jin, Chorus of Lies. At the hotel bar, Yun-Jin takes a sip of her cold caipirinha. I think that's what it's called, excuse that. The sugarcane liquor smoothing the sour burst of lime. Why did she give that young artist Lucas her business card? It's not like she can produce him. Another pang of nostalgia. Another sip of Carifina. She misses it, hunting new talents. The raw creative chaos of designing a bold sound. The adrenaline rush of the first album. Things are different now. Her time split between handling the Trickster's growing ego and following a generic, endless production cycle. Is this what the cost of success? Producing music that makes her cringe? Not to mention handling arguments about bodyguards and curfews while being threatened by a crazed, psychopathic fan. Her life is so different from what she imagined as a little girl. Back then, music was the only thing she had. She created tracks in her bedroom, imagining a stage of bright lights where she was safe, loud, and free. This is what pop music is to her: a vital dose of unapologetic release. But now, thanks to her success, she lives in a golden cage. Down goes the Kafarina. The bartender gives her a glance and she nods. Keep them coming. She calls Mighty One executives for a virtual meeting and gives them the news. Once she finishes the 3 tracks in Rio, she is done with the Trickster. She will move on to producing the launch of Trainees. A Mighty One executive cuts her off. They have more urgent business to discuss. Damaging rumors are trending online. A disturbed, delusional fan claims to have murdered someone at a Trickster concert. Yunjin closes her fists, her long manicured nails digging into her palms, anything to keep her hand from shaking again. She will handle this mediatic storm for her brand's sake. But after Rio, she is done with the Trickster, whether Mighty One is willing or not. Memory 438, Hak Ji-woon dismissed for the dead. Despite the stifling humidity, Ji-woon hides under a hoodie, large sunglasses concealing his face. Now's not the time to attract attention from rabid fans. He waits till Yun is in the meeting and strolls out of the hotel, a bag of necessities in hand. It's his show now. He pulls earbuds from his pocket, allows the music to envelop him. The song, How I Became, recorded 6 months ago in Seoul. It stands as a metaphor of his childhood, written in one drunken night while looking over old photographs. He is 7 years old. He sits at the back of class. He's uncomfortable being seen and speaking, but today is different. In a few minutes, he's presenting on his favorite thing. A young boy shows the class his hamster, but Ji-woon doesn't care. He holds his flute, going over the notes to the song he wrote. He shuffles to the front of class, placing his sweaty fingers on the instrument. Following a deep, unsteady breath, he gently blows out a wisp of air, creating a light, whimsical sound. He closes his eyes, moves his fingers precisely, playfully dancing over each note. He ignores the squeaks of the hamster. The flute's sound carries like chimes in the wind, with one final soul-piercing note. He smiles and opens his eyes. His classmates are huddled around the rodent, laughing with its every movement. His teacher, too. He walks to the group. Students pass the hamster around as it squeaks incessantly. It finds itself directly in Ji-woon's palm. He takes it in both hands. With one steady movement, he squeezes. A squeal. A slight crunch. No more sound. The children scream. Ji-woon feels nothing. Lee Yun-Jin, Chorus of Lies, Memory 446. This one's a long one. Online rumors about the murder are trending. An anonymous post claims that the victim was last seen alive at the Trickster's VIP meetup after his concert in New York earlier this year. Yun-Jin remembers that night, not because of the concert, but because of detail that has been replaying in her mind ever since. Bleeding scratch marks on the Trickster's forearms when he showed up at the concert's after party. The rumors online were rekindling the suspicion she silenced before. Years ago, the Trickster and she arrived in Miami several days earlier than planned. Yunjin attended the networking events while the Trickster rehearsed. 3 days following their arrival, a folk singer was found dead downtown, near the bar where he performed. A security footage was released to the public showing a man dressed in black with his face covered, leading the singer down an alley. The dark, blurry footage revealed little about the suspect, but Yunjin noticed a small detail that twisted her stomach in knots. She recognized the gold-rimmed headphones around the suspect's neck with two large X's, one for each ear. It was the brand new model of the Zeri's 1050X headphones, which few audiophiles knew about and even fewer could afford. She recognized the model right away because the Trickster favored their equipment over other expensive models. He wore a similar pair on the plane to Miami, but then switched to a lesser model for the rest of the tour, which only fueled her doubts. Back then, however, she was not in a good place. The death of Nosebin was still fresh. Acute insomnia kept her mind in a haze, and the jet lag of the tour only worsened her state. In the end, she decided to let the police do their job and focus on hers, producing music. But now someone else was dead, someone whom the Trickster might have been to the last one seen alive. The headphones, the scratch marks, and the late night outs were details, but they added up. How many coincidences does it take to know? A knock on the door makes her jump. The head of security is here. Yun-Jin follows her gut. She confronts him. She bluffs about firing the whole security crew if he does not come clean. It pays off. She learned that the Trickster left the hotel premises last night. His bodyguard tried to follow, but lost him on the way. Yun-Jin pounds her fist on the table. Why would he leave the hotel? To go where and to do what? Despite working with the Trickster for years, he is still no more than a stranger. While he generates incredible profit, it comes at a cost. If the Trickster is linked to a murder, so is she. Even if there is no evidence, even if it's just rumors, her life's on the line, her entire career. She could never produce music again, and the worst part is, it's her own fault. She knows better than to trust someone in this industry. She needs to get answers before it's too late. Whatever the Trickster is doing at night, she must find out. Her doubts won't be quieted until she knows for certain. Hak Ji-woon, Distance for the Dead, Memory 439. Storm clouds overtake the sky as the first drops of rain spatter onto Ji-woon's sunglasses. He breathes deeply, prepares for what he's played over in his mind. The anticipation nearly brings him to his knees. The joy of the artistic process. He strides to the rear door of a cheap 1980s sedan, glances both ways, and appraises the few locals walking the street. Certain no one was watching, he jams a straightened coat hanger around the top of the window, pushing it through the other side. His thin fingers work quickly. Prior experience in breaking an entry pays off. He hooks the wire around the door lock and flicks it up. Without missing a beat, he slides inside, closes the door, and flattens himself along the back seat. He takes off his hoodie and sunglasses. From his bag, he pulls out rope, a blade, a dusty rag, and a bottle of chloroform. He waits, takes out his earbuds, listens to a song that's not his own, one he heard long ago. He is 8 years old. He sits on his father's shoulders, looking over a sea of human bodies. An elaborate stage is ahead, illuminated by colored spotlights. A man in gaudy, audacious clothing stands in front of a microphone. On each side is a guitarist. Behind him, a drummer. A crash of sound. Beautiful, rhythmic music. A voice that twists delicately through the melody. His father shouts something, but he can't hear. Shouts again. This is what you'll do. This is where your talent will take you. He feels a tingle through his spine and sees something incredible. Everyone enraptured focus intently on the sound of a single man. The emotion of thousands guided by his voice. He is seen by all, he is loved, and he is wondrous. Ji-woon never played his flute again. He reveled in sounds that reached global audiences, attracted screaming fans, turned men and women into idols. His childhood fear vanished as he learned to divulge himself through the intricacy and pliability of pop. His inner thoughts riding atop sound waves, fusing together with other genres. Rock, hip hop, jazz, punk. It was the music that could deliver him the explosive fame he deserved, a promise that he would never be upstaged. He was no longer confined to his timid shell. He revealed himself through his mastery of music, poured his heart into sound. He became envied, lusted over, and respected for the hits that spilled from his lungs. He takes the earbuds in his hands and smiles. How miraculous that a boy became a god. All right, we're taking a quick break here because my throat is sore. We're halfway through Tome 9 Crescendo of the two chapters. Thoughts so far?
This is gold. I am so into what they did for this home, and like it hits on like the notes that you're looking for, more about like how the characters deal with each other, more about
Mhm.
like the trickster's backstory, and like I guess he did kick puppies as a kid, and
You
but
know,
it
like,
was always because he wanted the attention for it, never because of some sick twisted thing. It's good.
Yeah,
like
seeing their story kind of parallel, Yunjin being very suspicious and like really kind of putting these things in place to try to figure out what's going on. And it's really interesting to see the trickster paying off his security detail so he can run off and go find victims and do
so
whatnot.
funny.
So, just incredible parallels of these two trying to do their own things, but it's also very entwined. Is like they're very much on the same playing field, but at the same time, they're working against each other in a lot of ways, which I find fascinating.
Hmm. I really like this tone a lot. Sorry, my throat's a little sore, but I really like this because it does what tone should do: develop the characters. A lot of times they reiterate things that we already know, but this really just does more. Like, we learned that the trickster was really shy as a kid, but what broke it is that he saw this one guy in a concert getting so much attention. He was like, I want that. I want people to praise me. I want their attention. And that draws back when he had that little hamster that he crushed. And I really like with Lee Yun-Jin, it kind of looks more into her experience as a producer and how she wants to make music and how she feels about it, instead of just being like, she felt regret. It's not just she felt regret, it's this is why she feels regret, this is why she wants to do music. And it also adds new things we didn't know, like before she was gonna quit with the trickster and go to training new trainees. I think that's really interesting. We didn't know that at the base lore. I love that. And with the trickster we get his backstory. I like it. Very nice. We're going to continue now with the second half of both of them. I'm sorry this is so long, listeners and viewers, but we hope
This
you
is good. This is good
my
juice.
reading. Continuing with our survivor, Lee Yun-Jin, Course of Lies, Memory 447. This one is, I think, the longest of the memories. Yunjin leaves her security detail behind during the trickster's rehearsal. What she's up to is not strictly, I left my camera on, legal, after all. She shows her VIP badge at the doorman and enters the trickster's changing room. Perhaps she could find something in here that could be a clue as to what the trickster is up to. Amidst the flamboyant costumes, she looks for clues, receipts, notes, pictures. All she finds is a gym bag. Inside lies a water bottle, a few t-shirts, and his wallet. No bills or anything of interest in his wallet except for his hotel room keycard. Perhaps she's looking in the wrong place. Someone chatting loudly on the other side of the door alerts her. She snatches the hotel key card and zips up the bag just as the trickster's assistant walks in. Yunjin quells her thudding heart and keeps her expression impassive as she walks out. Whatever the assistant saw, she will not dare mention it, at least not to anyone who matters. Yunjin only pauses when she reaches the trickster's hotel room, keycard in hand. If she does this, there is no turning back. Yet, if the trickster is hiding something, she needs to know what it is before everyone else does, before it ruins her life. There can be no doubts. Yunjin pushes the door open. The trickster's room is tidy, almost as if he's barely spent any time here. She goes through his luggage, a pile of odd clothes, all black hoodies and sweatpants, a black face mask, clothes she's never seen him wear on tour. A tap on the door. Room service. Yunjin drops the face mask. Come back later. She finds nothing odd in the room except for a rare top-of-the-line sampler on his bedside table. Intrigued, she presses play. A series of violent, loud screams fill the room. The screeches sound genuine. Samples from a horror film? Yet she cannot fully shake her initial disturbing thought. What if it's genuine? What she finds next only enhances her discomfort. A sharpening kit for knives, whetstones, and cleaning products. A whole collection of sharpeners. A past conversation overheard at the recording studio replays in her mind. Lucas, the young artist, introducing himself to the trickster, asking about the flamboyant knife in his hands. The trickster replying that he always keeps a blade on him. Yunjin picks up a whetstone. Why sharpen a stage prop? Sure, the trickster used real knives to do stunt work as a kid, but it is no longer necessary. This obsession with knives is not just for show. And what is the point of sharpening a knife if it's not to use it? She shudders. Another noise at the door. Yunjin puts the whetstone down. I said come back, Lee. Ji-woon walks into the room, catching her off guard. Her eyes meet his. He is just the awkward kid I signed years ago. I will not let him drag me down. His outrage meets her fury. Yun-Jin picks up the sampler. Where the hell do you wander off at night? And what is this twisted horror bullshit? What if the media got a hold of it? Your career would be over. Trickster sighs and admits that after the death of Nosebin, his mind drifted to a dark place. He rarely talks about their death, and she can tell why. That day still haunts her dreams. Time passes, but guilt remains. Yunjin spots his phone on the table. Grab a drink from the minibar, Trickster. Today's rehearsal is cancelled. She keeps the sampler and reminds him to stay on hotel grounds until the concert. He nods in agreement. Good. For her play to work, he must think she trusts him. We're almost at the end, I promise. Hak Ji-woon listens for the dead, memory 440. Rain hammers down on the car's roof. Ji-woon checks the time. On any other day, Lucas would be in his car already. He knows this. He's done his homework. But Lucas is late, and Ji-woon wonders if the storm has altered plans. He feels control slipping away, replaced by something else. It pushes against his chest, forcing him to gasp for air, heavy and sticky in his lungs. Everything's ruined. He claws his nails into the car seat, forces his mouth shut to keep himself from screaming. All the planning for nothing. He doesn't have time before leaving Brazil to find another beautiful voice. Quickly, he needs music. Fumbles for his earbuds, drops them to the floor, frantically scours. The only song playing in his teeth is audibly grinding. As he prepares to spill into the street, he sees him. Lucas, drenched under the deluge, walks to the driver's side door. Get your shit together. The show is about to begin. Ji-woon grabs Lucas's neck in a chokehold, shoves the chloroform-soaked cloth into his face. The two struggle in a frenzied dance. Lucas twists from side to side, reaching his arms back, grabbing for anything. Ji-woon resists the movement, holding the man in a place with all his might. Rain smashes down, muting the battle under the pattering of 100 drops, concealing the outside behind a windshield of streaming water. Lucas grabs a handful of his hair and pulls Ji-woon forward, breaking the chokehold. He bites deep into Ji-woon's wrist, drawing blood. Ji-woon screams through gritted teeth, pushing the cloth harder into Lucas' face until he's beating him with it. Lucas flails into his other arm, a desperate bid, searching for a solution with no plan. His hand relaxes, releasing Ji-woon's hair. He slumps forward, head hitting the steering wheel, blasting the horn. Ji-woon scurries over to the seat, pushes Lucas's limp body to the passenger side. He leans back, takes a moment to catch his breath, looks in the rearview mirror, inspects his face, hair, and through a sheet of rain, sees a sight he never expected. Yun's car pulling up behind him. He grabs the key from Lucas's pocket, jams them in the ignition, and slams the accelerator down. If you can't tell, my throat is very dry. I should have brought water. That's on me. Moving on to Memory 448 for Lee Yun-Jin, Chorus of Lies. Yun-Jin looks out from her hotel room. Outside, the downpour is relentless, causing flash floods in parts of the city. She calls her staff. No matter how bad the storm is, the show must go on. Yet the weather is not to blame for the growing apprehension in the pit of her stomach. There's something off about the trickster, a hunch she can no longer ignore, no matter how profitable he is. While he might seem sincere, years in the business have taught her that she cannot trust anyone. Yunjin grabs her phone and activates the GPS tracker on the trickster's company phone. His location appears as a blue dot on the huge map of Rio. Her gut feeling is right. He's no longer on the hotel premises. The chase is on. Time to teach the trickster a new trick. Yunjin slows down near the trickster's location. As she approaches, a gray sedan suddenly speeds off. She checks her phone. The blue dot is getting farther away on the map. The trickster must be in the car that just took off. Yunjin stumps on the accelerator and speeds off. After a few turns, she catches up with the sedan, which makes a sharp right. Yunjin follows, yanking the steering wheel while stomping on the brakes. Her car drifts into the turn, gliding towards a wretched, narrow alley. The sedan accelerates and swerves left, entering a narrow street. Yunjin repeats her maneuver and drifts left, but the wheels hydroplane on the puddled asphalt and the car spirals out of control. A thundering crash. Yunjin's head is propelled onto the steering wheel. A flash, of white light. Then a burning pain follows, coursing down from her body, from her neck to her lower back. Yun-Jin coughs and gasps at the pain. For a moment, all she can do is breathe. When she exhales, the pain lessens slightly. Loud rock is blaring on the radio. It's so loud. She reaches forward and turns it off absentmindedly. A spot above her left brow is burning. She touches her forehead softly and winces. A drop of blood drips down her finger. The windshield is cracked on the passenger's side. Yun-Jin moves slowly, carefully leaning over. It's okay. Everything is okay. I'm okay. She looks out. The car crashed in a street lamp on the passenger side. This could have been much worse. A familiar ding interrupts her thoughts. Her phone. Yun-Jin slowly leans forward, her head searching under her seat. Hand searching under her seat. She grabs her phone and locks the screen. A text message from the Trickster. Help. Why would he ask for help unless she missed something? Unless the Trickster is not the one she's chasing. Yunjin's heart skips a beat. The death threat. The Trickster's #1 fan. Perhaps the crazed fan found out about the Trickster's nightly escapades and decided to strike. Kidnappings go hand in hand with death threats, after all. She let out a curse, and her rush to chase the Trickster as she left her bodyguard behind. If anything happens to the Trickster, Ji-woon, and she was too blind to stop it. No, she has enough guilt on her conscience already. Yunjin readjusts her seatbelt. She turns on the ignition and the engines cough in response. She grits her teeth and tries again. It won't be like the fire. I won't give up on him. She turns on the ignition again and again. On the third try, the engine revs back to life. She puts her phone back on the dashboard and follows the blue dot. We're almost done. We have 3-4 more memories.
Oh, totally. We're almost there. Almost there.
Yes. Hak Ji-woon, Distance for the Dead, Memory 441. Lucas's limp body jostles back and forth in the passenger seat. Street-side shops and graffitied walls are a blur as Ji-woon veers around a corner. Wind and rain lash at the city as if dead set on blowing it apart. Ji-woon loses track of his plan. Usually, he would have Yun fix his problems, but now it's all wrong. He doesn't recognize the streets he's speeding down, only has a vague idea of the direction. Yun remains on his tail. She doesn't know when to quit. The tenacity and courage that proved useful when negotiating his record deal is infuriating now. He's losing control of his artistic process. Hands squeeze the wheel. He'd rip it from the steering column if he could. No, you're not going down like this. You have art to make, damn it. He flicks on the radio. 2 men talking about something he doesn't know. Searches the channels. A commercial for a fast food restaurant. Recognizes the jingle. Keeps going. Lands on, there it is. Brazilian dance music. Rapid tempo. Heavy bass line. Percussive guitar notes. And a smooth voice. He pushes the pedal to the floor. Dodges a few kids playing in the storm. Bolts past an old pickup truck, praying no one comes the other way. Swings the wheel hard to the left. Nearly loses control in deep water, but recovers to find himself in a perfect turn. Guns it as the song hits the chorus. Trusts in the music. Shifts with the tempo. Slides with the riffs. Feels the beauty in everything he does. Music courses through him. He is a living art. He is the crescendo. Behind him, Yun's car comes to a crashing halt. It doesn't matter. The music must go on. Memory 449 for Lee Yun-Jin, Course of Lies. Yun-Jin follows the GPS until she reaches a desolate parking lot facing several abandoned warehouses. The blue dot remains immobile. This is it. Ji-woon could be here somewhere, but where? As Yun-Jin steps out of the car, a heavy curtain of rain falls on her sore, shivering body. Daylight is cloaked by dark storm clouds. The parking lot is filled with broken down cars. Yun-Jin uses her cell phone's flashlight to find the gray sedan. As thunder rumbles, her phone illuminates a bloodied handprint on a car window. She rushes to the door and peeks inside. A sudden blur of motion. She pulls the door open. A rat skitters out of the car. Some items lie on the back seat. Ji-woon's phone, a rag, and some rope. Yun-Jin closes her prickling eyes. She might be too late. There's no time to waste crying. If Ji-woon is still alive, he needs all the help he can get. Yunjin grabs her phone and calls the police, then her security crew. Whatever this crazed fan has planned, it ends now. The final memory for Hak Ji-woon, Distance for the Dead, Memory 442. Ji-woon pulls into the harbor he'd staked out days ago. He reluctantly turns off the radio and scans the area. No sign of Yun behind him, but he's on his guard. Somehow she knew how to find him. He pulls out his phone, his Mighty One company phone. She's tracking me like an overzealous babysitter. Should have expected this from her. Always a micromanager. But she couldn't have known he was driving the car, only that he was in it. Ji-woon drags out Lucas, barely conscious, and pushes a blade into his back. Before shutting the door, he takes his phone and texts a simple message to Yun. Help. He tosses the device on the car seat along with the rag of chloroform and rope. Needs more evidence. He cuts his palm and presses upon a bloody hand to the window. That'll do. With a thrust of his blade, he pushes Lucas forward. Thunder shakes the frame of the abandoned warehouse. Lucas sits in front of Ji-woon, bound to a chair, ready to be slaughtered, to sing, to create beauty. Ji-woon pulls out his blade, but hesitates. Something's wrong. He was too messy getting here. He wants to dive into his art, let the blood spill, but Yun threw him off his game. He can't shake the feeling. He knows she doesn't give up easily, or at all. Walks over to a window and looks out. Endless rain, lightning, and there, like a drowned rat skulking through the sewage, Yun, so damn persistent, and further back, the flashing lights of a police car. Yun stumbled into a bloody game and has the power to end him in one move. He rummages through his pockets for his earbuds. Can't find them. Can't focus. Feels the pain, plan slipping away. Sees an end to his act. His art. The music cut short. His vision incomplete. No, he can't let it end. He hears the music. It's always been there, sitting on his father's shoulders, washing over him. He inhales it. It circulates through his veins. Becomes him. He'll never go back to being the boy he once was. He's an idol. He's a god. He's the trickster. And he has one last trick to play. That is the end of Hak Ji-woon's Distance for the Dead. Now it's time for the last memory for Chorus of Lies, Lee Yun-Jin, Memory 450. Rumbling thunder. Yun-Jin is staggering through the rain, looking for a clue, a trail. An icy gust lashes over her drenched body, but she cannot stop, not until Ji-woon is safe. A rat skitters over a puddle upon which lies a white business card. Yun-Jin picks up the bloodstained card and reads Magnum Opus, music producer. It's hers. With a shudder, she realizes she might know the person who kidnapped Ji-woon. Police sirens are blaring in the distance, but she cannot tell if they are coming for her or the several people caught in the storm. Yun-Jin shouts Ji-woon's name, yelling in despair over sirens and thunder. Then she hears a scream coming from across the parking lot, where she stands an abandoned warehouse. She rushes to the warehouse, reaching its wide doors. A chain is wrapped around the handles, padlocked in place. Meanwhile, police are arriving on the scene. A brutal scream emerges from the warehouse. She cannot afford to wait. What happened to Nospin cannot happen again. Never again. Picking up a lead pipe from the ground, she strikes the padlock. Again and again. Ji-woon! Ji-woon! The padlock breaks open. And this is where the two cinematic shorts happen, specifically for Lee Yun-Jin and the Trickster, where to basically describe it, if you don't want to go watch it, for the Trickster, he basically has Lucas tied up, and then he cuts him free for some reason, and Lucas is rightly pissed off and beats the shit out of him. However, as he's getting the beat shit out of him, Yun-Jin opens the doors, the police are behind them, and a gunshot goes off. That's where it ends. For Lee Yun-Jin's cinematic, though, it's her outside, looking at the car, seeing the business card, and then she hears the scream. She rushes to the warehouse and throws the doors open with police behind her, and they see Lucas beating up the Trickster. And the police, they shoot Lucas. He's dead. She rushes over to the Trickster to aid him, and as she's helping him up, she sees the dagger that Lucas was holding. It's the Trickster's knife that he uses on stage. She looks up, unsure how to feel. that is all the lore we have on Trickster and Yun-Jin, especially in Tome 9 Crescendo. Final thoughts on that, ladies. Also, my face is back. Ah!
Wild. What
It's
a
a good ride.
wild story. Yeah, it is.
I recommend watching the cinematic too, because it picks
Yes.
up right after, like directly after these memories
It's
finish.
like 2.5 minutes, both of them. It's really quick.
And it really solidifies it. It's the trickster's last trick.
Which
Yeah.
really wasn't his last trick. He was just being extra like that because,
Mhm.
piss baby.
That's him.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about the Trickster not revealing himself to Yun-Jin, just because I feel like that's something he would hold over her. But the fact that he just wants to keep it still secret to himself, I guess, in a way, is smart, right? Because I guess there's less. You have less risks that way. But I thought it was interesting that he didn't just quite reveal himself because he, like we mentioned, he likes the attention. He likes the squeezing of the hamster in front of the class. Like, he likes that kind of stuff. So I'm shocked he doesn't try to provoke more of that from Yun-Jin. But yeah, I just, what a fascinating story, and the way he pulls off, kind of putting the blame on Lucas and having Lucas beat him up, and then unfortunately getting shot. That's just that's so tragic. Like we're so, we're not rooting for the Trickster, but it's a smart move for sure, and it just sucks to see a victim go down that way.
CV, any final thoughts?
I'm so here for them, and I think that they kind of are emblematic of like where the real DBD horror can be. Like, these are real people dealing with real crimes. I mean, given they're fantastical, but like, this is a person who could exist, and I think that that's the fun of it. They get realistic with their serial killer this time.
Exactly. What I really enjoy about it, especially in this tome, is it kind of shows there's like a bit of a power dynamic between the Trickster and Yun-Jin, where they both think they're in control, but they're not really. It's basically the Trickster's control, and Yun-Jin has chances to take control, but sadly she's at his mercy because he's fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's also everything else I said before, but my throat is really sore, and this episode is almost 2 hours long.
So, one of our longest, for sure.
So for the sake of real brevity and to not make people be like, when is this fucking episode going to end, I would like to conclude the episode there. I really enjoyed this episode. I hope we can do more lore episodes in the future like we have. And yeah, that is all we have for you this week, folks. Be sure to join the Discord to engage with us and the rest of the community, and also to participate in the upcoming community events. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop us a review on the platform of your choice. Any kind of support in those areas means a lot to us and helps us reach more people. Thank you, Stevie and Bryson. Thank you, listeners and viewers. We'll see you in the fog next week.
Thank you, Maddie. Oh my God.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, everyone.